Hey friends, you got Renee here at Mold Mending. I wanted to chat with you about overcoming some things. So yesterday I went to an eye appointment, and something I haven't shared with you yet in any of my previous videos, I don't believe I've shared yet, is that I experienced total blindness. And when I was at my appointment yesterday for this eye doctor, she was checking my blind eye and checking the eye that I can actually see from. And she made some comments that actually made me cry. They were good comments. What she actually said was, you've had some extensive therapy to that eye and some extensive work, that she was impressed that my optic nerve was preserved. And I think she said my macula. But I started crying because I had so much trauma with my eye that went blind. Actually, both eyes went blind, but I regained sight in my left eye. And but I am still considered legally blind because of it still has some issues. There's some dysfunction in it, and it's not fully working. Um, but thank God that I actually can see. We'll say that. But it was a beautiful moment at that doctor's office, because she brought to mind all that I had endured with my left eye, and that being the good eye, and how much cryotherapy, how much laser treatments and such. I honestly stopped counting surgeries after number 15. I've had more than that, but I stopped counting at that point. And the loss of the permanent loss of my right eye, I think, overrode all of the work that was done on my left eye. But this appointment yesterday helped me remember something good that God brought me out of. He brought me out of darkness. He brought me out of a hard time, and I did regain some sight back. So I'm very grateful for that, and I'm celebrating it. And it also made me think about, there are some traumas to our body that overcome good, you know, like the blindness, the full blindness overriding the all that I actually did go through in traumas of my left eye. And I think those of us with chronic illness, those of us with chronic inflammatory response syndrome, this mold illness, the big moments that we walk through of just illness and things we can't do, things we can't control. I mean, chronic illness is not fun. There's so many different things it does to our body and mess us up, that it can make us easily forget other moments that we have overcome, other hurdles that we've walked through, that we made it through, we persevered through, we're alive, you know? And so I guess that's why I wanted to just chat with you, is to remember that we are overcomers. There are beautiful things that we have experienced in our life in the past, and our current weight of our situation and of our illness, it can overshadow some of the other hard things we've been through, as well as some of the good things that we've been through. And I guess I don't want you to forget those things, how you've overcome, how you made it through, even if it maybe was a bad thing. Like for me, losing my eyesight, there was still good in it, you know? And when I say there was good in it, what I'll explain to you is, I was going blind. It wasn't just at the beginning. We had just gotten married. A couple months later, I woke up. I didn't have sight in my right eye, and I started getting treatment for that. But over time, I started losing sight in both my eyes. My left eye then started going out, and I was working at a jewelry store. I was unable to start reading people's credit cards in order to process them in. We didn't have the little slider thing, you know, that does it automatically. We had to literally type in the numbers in order to have a charge card process. So we had to be able to see these numbers, translate it to this computer, and then it sent it in and came back and gave us a accept or deny, you know. And because it was jewelry, there were tags attached to them, and there are little bitty numbers and description codes on it, obviously with the price. That was becoming so difficult for me to see, to the point of I had to resign from my position as manager. And they were saying they'd hold on to my job for me. And while I go and get my eyes fixed and I can come back. And I just knew that I couldn't have them do that because I couldn't guarantee that I'd see again. Doctors couldn't guarantee that either. So that was a really hard time. I went home and I'll just say the eyesight just kind of caved in. It just started going blacker and blacker and blacker. So one of the very last times that I journaled, I started writing in there, okay, Lord, because I would journal to God and talk to him that way. And I was like, all right, Lord, I haven't had kids yet. I really wanted to be able to see children when I gave birth to them. I really wanted to be able to play with kids, my children, once they grew up. I wanted to play outside. I really want to see my kids play in a tree. But as I was writing that down, knowing it was one of my last times being able to journal and see, I decided I was just going to give that to God and say, Lord, I'm just going to release this to you, what my future is going to look like, what my hopes and dreams are. I know I'm going to be okay because I've got you by my side, and I'm just going to release it. And what happened was an exchange of, instead of this grief and this sadness, this loss, I gained a peace, this ridiculous amount of peace in the darkest, the literally darkest, emotionally dark. I should have been so distraught, but God gave me this peace to walk through the rest of the hurdles I was going to walk through of going blind. And I did go blind. Thankfully, my sight started regaining after a week, and I regained some sight. I'm telling you, so that was huge in my life, that I actually could see again. And years later, my husband had gifted me with this Mother's Day gift of pictures on the wall, and he said, okay, come on out, come see your gift. And I came in and I walked by this wall and I had to do a double take, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's pictures on the wall. But what made me cry was, and he didn't know this, that I had this conversation with God, was, and this is fast forward about 20 years, 18, 20 years later, okay, when I got this Mother's Day gift, it was a picture of both of my boys, each posing in a tree. They were climbing up into a tree to pose for my husband to take a picture in order to get a picture up on the wall for me. So God brought my dream to pass. I forgot to thank him for that. So I thanked him for it that day. And I don't know, that just came to mind because of the appointment with the doctor yesterday, and how much trauma can just, I guess, disappointment in our trauma can just override so many things. So hopefully today you can look back and be grateful. Even if something didn't turn out, you're here, you persevered, you are resilient, you are strong, you're still trying to figure things out, Hopefully you're working with a doctor that's trying to figure it out as well and putting the puzzle pieces together. The game's not over yet. Your life is not done. You still have time, and you have things to celebrate. So I'm here to tell you, remember the good. Look at the good in the situation that you are in. And I pray that you have peace over that. That I'm just here to encourage you and to remind you that we can be well, even while ill, even when we're laid up, even when we're blind, even when mold's jacked us up and robbed us and all kinds of other things. We can still be well. So let's go get it. Guys and girls, take care.